Welcome to episode number 13 of the Dark Horde podcast. The scariest one ever. I promise you, I've been sitting around researching this stuff for this episode today, and I'm hearing things. I'm hearing things. I feel like someone's watching me. It's not going to be a fun one for me. As a matter of fact, I was sitting here just waiting the last 5 minutes, contemplating if I need to delete this audio once I'm done. I've heard this before. Like, I've heard people who go around places and they take pictures and they take audio and stuff like that, how they feel compelled to, for their own safety, to delete audio that they capture. And I feel like I'm going to have to do this once this podcast is done. It's going to be aired, and then I'm going to delete it. I feel sorry for the folks at the podcast host, Spreaker.com. They're fucked. They're going to be haunted for sure. Don't nobody tell them I did it. This is number 13. I'm glad to be back. It's a little late. It's supposed to happen last Saturday, but life happens. But I said, I got to do it because I still have to make the announcement on this podcast that next Saturday, Chris Garcia will be here live with us Central Standard Time on Spreaker.com at 8 p.m., and that is May 9th. And he is a psychic. Pretty good one, I got to say myself. But, geez, I wonder if he actually saw this coming. The fact that I'm having this particular episode. I don't know. I am expecting to have a lot of technical difficulties, to be honest. I feel like something's going to go awry. But I just don't know. Don't know what's going to happen. If you like the podcast, which just recently made it not only into iTunes, but also into iHeart, and I believe on Spotify itself, share it. Share it is caring. Let your folks know that there's someone that's a little bit not exactly the model of what you would assume is someone that would handle paranormal stories, especially like the one tonight. But they should listen, tune in, and then go into the Discord chat to hang out with the peeps. The folks that you hear about all the damn time on the podcast, whether it be this one or UFO Buster Radio. Right now, I got to give a shout out to Gooter, Greenman, Pucky, Mr. Num Nums, The Norm. Let's see. I'm thinking somebody else is missing here. I was waiting for somebody else to show up, but I guess that didn't happen. Maybe he's a little sleepy. Could be. But I'm glad you guys are here. And I'm glad you guys are ready to listen to this. I'm scared shitless already, and I haven't even started the podcast. I'm telling you, this is going to be one that is going to have to be deleted. I promise you. And as a matter of fact, I want to know from you guys, at the end of the podcast, how many of you were able to listen to the audio clip that's coming? There's an audio clip in here. Hours and hours of audio clips that I went to of exorcisms. And I chose one. I chose one for you guys, the listening audience. And when it spooked me really good. So I got one news article, which is contemporary kind of, regarding the Vatican and the topic of exorcism. One particular person that we're going to talk about. And then we're going to get into the story and then the audio clip. And I really want to know how many people listen to the whole thing. But we'll get to that in just a moment. But as always, what I like to do is kind of like get the mood started and play a little audio clip. I was trying to say some music because it's going to be balls to the walls today.
Rivers run dry, dust breaths in the air. 2 dark days, do you have a tear to spare? Make a promise, the world awaits. It's heavy just breathing through this debate. Come on, start a riot. When they love you too much, know it's fake, fake, or even hate. Don't be scared if the way paralyzes you, stayed at the gate. No, it's a lot to take in, it's designed to know when, don't wait. Don't be scared when the way paralyzes you, stayed at the gate.
So here's the first story for today. So let's get right into it because I really am interested to see what everyone thinks when the podcast is over and done with, because I might be in a rush to end this bitch real fast. The first article, Vatican's chief exorcist for 30 years claimed to have dealt with the devil 60,000 times, a new book reveals. That is phenomenal in and of itself. Let me tell you, I honestly was just looking for fucking EVPs today, and I guess that wasn't enough. That wasn't good enough for this episode, being at number 13. We're just going to go deep. The Vatican chief exorcist, Father Gabriele Amorth, he actually passed away at the age of 91 in 2016, and he often was asked to help people who were believed to be possessed. We've seen the movies. We've grown up scared shitless because of the movies. But it's something else to come across this in real life. Or, at 60,000 times. He had brass balls, to say the least. But could you imagine the first few times how scary it may have been? I'm telling you, just thinking about it, it's just wild. There's a book that's titled The Devil is Afraid of Me, The Life and Work of the World's Most Famous Exorcist, and is written by Marcello Stanzione. He's a fellow priest who actually worked with the Father while he did his thing, while he exorcised 60,000 people. This report is actually coming from the New York Post, and it's probably more like a gigantic advertising, but it is what it is. It is what it is. The book actually talks about this one exorcism that took place in 1997. Father Amorth believed that in that exorcism, he came face to face with the devil himself. The story goes like this. One morning, there was a young Italian peasant who was brought to the Father for consultation in Rome. The young man was accompanied by a priest and another man. The latter of the two was the young man's translator. The possessed man apparently, up until the time of possession, only spoke Italian. But this spirit that took him over spoke English. Now, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm sure everybody in Italy thinks that the devil speaks English, and there's a whole country full of them. I'm just saying that. I had to interject. Father Amorth began the exorcism in Latin, and when he mentioned Jesus' name, the young man started to yell curses in English. When the exorcist started to recite the prayer and stated, "I command you," the possessed peasant fell silent. But then he began to scream and howl. The demonic possessed peasant began to rock back and forth. He looked straight at the Father and said, "Whoever you are, and all your companions who possess this servant of God, I command you, tell me your name and the hour of your damnation." Father Amorth continued to ask the demon to answer. And finally, the answer is, "I am Lucifer." This is but one story out of 60,000 that this particular father from the Vatican came across. Scary. I couldn't even fathom like being in that room. Even the guy that was with him that wrote the book. Could you imagine just standing there being a witness to this? Like Marcello Stanzione has probably seen things that rival the best horror flick. The greatest story of any possession told by any producer or director. I initially thought, hey, this is a good find. Contemporary, right? Just happened, blah, blah, blah. This guy did 60,000 of them, off them all. By the way, the link is in the description if you want to read the rest. And if you're interested in the book, there's links in there too where you can pick it up. I really thought that this was going to be the best I could do, to be honest. And I was going to move over to, something else. Maybe some ghost stories or campfire stories or something of that effect. But what I found was so much more terrifying. It's bananas. It's completely crazy because it is a true story of a young lady who was possessed, whose attempts by the family to have an exorcism performed was captured not only on video, but there's also audio. And in fact, you can search the internet and find hours and hours. Of all that time that was recorded, I listened to quite a few. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little crazy, but I picked 5 minutes and 44 seconds. But let's tell you what this story is about. The story is about a young lady by the name of Anneliese Michel, a German young lady. Anneliese was exorcised. Her story is the basis for the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose. If you look at the image that I have here for the podcast for today, that is an image, a picture of Anneliese before and during the exorcism. Like night and day. There were some really dark things happening to her, and it wasn't just over a bit of time, not short time at all. It took some time for this whole thing to evolve into what you're going to hear in a few moments. But before we get there, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play one more song. I know you guys are sitting at the edge of your seats. Then we're going to talk about the story. We're going to go moment by moment and explain what happened to her, to Anneliese. And then I suggest you turn on the lights on, because it's not going to be pretty.
I could began walking.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. Here is the story of Annalise Michel. So let's just get into it. In the late 1960s, Annalise displayed some really strange behavior. It was behavior that many were assuming was due to a demonic possession. That possession led to her death. And like I said before, this is the basis of the film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The exorcism itself was recorded, and there were over 40 audio experts that are both terrified and amazed and taken back by what was recorded. We have a clip, but let's know about Annalise first. Annalise was born September 21st, 1952. She had 3 sisters. Her family was a strict Catholic family. In many ways, people saw them as they were more of the intense folks, the intense Catholic followers who really skirted some of the more intense parts of the religion. In 1969, Annalise suffered a seizure. Doctors told her family that Annalise suffered from temporal lobe epilepsy, which could cause, among many things, a really long list of side effects, including mood changes, hallucinations, and loss of awareness. Over the next few years, Annalise would suffer more seizures. The odd thing was that scans of her brain never showed any serious symptoms. There was just nothing really there. In the early 1970s, Annalise would start to hear knocking in her bedroom. Her sisters also heard the knocking as well. Annalise would begin to hear evil voices. And over time, she herself would become evil in her behavior. Doctors attempted to place her on an anti-seizure medication, but zero effects. Annalise would often experience convulsions. As the spring of 1976 came on, her seizures got worse. She began to attack her family members, biting and scratching them. And whenever she can get her hands on her sisters, she would beat them. During this ordeal, in the latter half of her possession, she refused to eat. She would often tell her family that the demons would not let her. At times, she would collapse to her knees and rise back up quickly and continue to do this repeatedly, hundreds of times a day. Eventually, she broke her kneecaps in the process. The final exorcism of Annalise was done June 30th, 1976. Annalise herself was too frail, and she needed help from her parents. On one of the tapes, when she speaks for the last time, she addresses the 2 priests that are present and advises them that they need to beg for absolution. She then turns to her family and whispers, mother, I'm afraid. On the morning of July 1st, 1976, Annalise dies of malnutrition and dehydration. According to the coroner's report, she weighed a mere 68 pounds. Needless to say, because of the condition that they found her in, and you can see what she looked like by looking at the image for this podcast, her parents and the priests were held responsible and charged with negligent homicide. What I am about to play is almost 6 minutes of what her parents and the priests experienced. Now again, I tell you, there are videos of this online. There's also just audio recordings. But those of you who know German, I would compare you to the folks who go to SeaWorld right now and sit in the splash zone. You're about to get splashed by some crazy demonic stuff. The people that sit right behind those crazy ass fuckers in the front, you guys, you may not speak German, but this is not going to be fun for you. Here we go.
Gnade, hat er gesagt. Und das war Bedingung, das sagte. Also, Fleischmann ist Gott. Fleischmann ist Gott. Das ist der Nächste dran. Wer ist der Nächste? Der Nächste Kain oder wer? Das ist der Nächste Kain im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes, des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes.
Ich bin der Kain.
Dreifaltigen Gottes.
Ich hab ein Bruder geschlagen.
Das will ich dir auszugraben. Im Namen des dreifaltigen Jungfrau die Ehre zu geben. Geist des Befehligten, der seligsten Jungfrau die Ehre zu geben.
Sie Drecksau, da haben sie sich über Aufzucht.
Im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes, des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes befehle ich dir, der seligsten Jungfrau, im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes, des Vaters,
I'll tell you right now, that was just a mere clip of what I heard from this young lady. And when you look at her image, there are so many pictures of her in her youth before all these things started happening. And, wow, you cannot in any way fathom that we just heard, that voice was coming out of that young lady. And it's something that, it's unbelievable. And I'm telling you that leading up to getting the podcast together, I was literally sitting here hearing things, but I heard a whole lot more in the way of audio. It's something else. It just makes you wonder, what's really out there. And I know there's a religious aspect to this. And some people believe that the only way that this happens is if you believe in it. If you're Catholic, or if you're part of a religion that believes in demons and devils. But there have been so many stories also of folks who don't believe in religion, who have had to be exorcised. It kind of makes you wonder, where is this coming from? Is it really rooted in belief? Or are we really all destined to one day dance with the devil himself? I can tell you right now, this is some really scary shit. This is like the real thing. This isn't like someone going out and recording an EVP somewhere. This is in your face. This is the young lady that we heard. And she did not sound all right. Not at all. I don't know how many of you actually played it through. There was a couple of clips that I actually had to stop. And this wasn't the worst of them either. There was one where I just couldn't play it. It was just so disturbing. And I don't even speak German. That's when you know something is really hardcore, that something is real. and evil to the core when you don't even speak the language, but you feel the fear. You feel it looming on you. It starts to impact how you perceive your own environment, where you are right now. That's how you know that you're listening to something evil, something dark, something you should probably not listen to ever again, actually. No, siree. This is the end of this episode, to be honest. I need to take a break, because it's bananas. I invite you guys to continue to listen to the Dark Horde. I don't assume that these are going to continue to be going down this route as dark as this is. But if you guys want to listen to it again, hit the replay button. If you want to forget about it, I suggest you move on to the next episode. Or something happier, like clog dancing or something like that. This is Manny Mooriker. I'm checking out. Hopefully you get to sleep tonight. I know I might be on edge. Ciao.